this looks good.
It looks good. I like it.
Happy Halloween! Welcome, Soul Seekers. I am your soul guide, Patricia Romero Wolfson, and
I am your voodoo priestess, Linda Krause Barnett. Happy Halloween, my favorite holiday in the whole wide world. I'm so glad we're here and looking hot and dressed up. We have your light and we have your dark, so pick your poison.
You know, it's funny because you guys may not actually know that we didn't plan this at all.
No one would know that because we didn't even know that.
We did not know it. And what's funny is that Linda was like, we should dress up. And I was like, cool. And my Halloween outfit for tonight is actually, I'm dressing up as 11 from Stranger Things. My whole family is dressing up as Stranger Things characters. But you know, I wasn't really like the 11 costume. I was like, you're not really going to be able to see it on here. So I was like, I'll just throw something together. And I picked an old costume. And then we showed up and we're like, oh my goodness, we're like the forces of light and dark. And
perfect for our conversation today. So we're thrilled that it worked out that way.
Totally. And before we get into today's topic, we want to just remind you that Soul Seekers TV is launching. We do have a date, Thursday, November 28th. So if you have not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, just go to Soul Seekers TV on YouTube and subscribe and ding that little bell, and you will get notifications of when our show is up and running. And then
at Thanksgiving lunch or dinner, get everyone at your tables to subscribe, and then tell them to get their friends to subscribe. And
yes.
Yeah, because we're only putting out good things, and who can't use more good in their life, right? So subscribe and pass the word.
Who can't use more good in their life? I agree. And soul seeking is a blessing from everybody. So yes. So here we go. On today's
I love this topic.
I know, I really do too. So typically we on Thursdays do a results chat about that week's experiment. And so the experiments, for those of you who are following along, is the book E Squared by Pam Grout. And there are 9 energy experiments. Let me show you 9 energy experiments that prove your thoughts create your reality. And this week's experiment was the superhero principle, where we actually did an experiment where you planted seeds in an egg carton, some beans, and with the power of intention, we are willing the left side of the egg carton that planted where we planted the seeds grows faster than the right. But seeing as I only started this yesterday, I have no results for you.
If I can grow beans at all, I will consider the entire experiment a miracle, because I've never actually grown anything before. So I'm just excited to take a seed and make it sprout. But because the experiment takes 7 days and we don't have results yet, we wanted to get into some really important discussions about why we're doing this and the results that you get or don't get, and how to kind of discern the meaning of what's happening. Okay, so if I can, Trish, I'd love to tell my little story.
Of course.
But as we have said before, this was something I came into a believer of already. Okay, so I knew that thoughts created your reality, and I believed that that power of intention was really strong, which is why sometimes it surprised me when I would give myself this 48-hour deadline and then it wouldn't arrive. And I'm like, but I know I've done this before. What's going on? Am I doing it wrong? You know, you always think you're doing something wrong. And then what happened is weeks after or days after the experiment had expired, you know, when it was the car experiment, I asked for purple cars. Well, I can tell you there are about 200 purple cars in Fort Lauderdale, because I've seen them all in the last 3 weeks, but I didn't see them in the 48 hours that I asked for them. And so I've been playing with this, okay, let me see what I can do minus the pressure, minus the limitations. Maybe that's what's holding me back.
Did you think that? Did you actually think let's see what happens now that I've released the pressure of it?
That's exactly what I thought. Okay. And to add to, and full disclosure of my process, okay, and it's going to sound really cool dressed like this to tell this story, but I have been working on the concept of the pineal gland in the third eye. It's something that I've spent this last week completely focused on. I won't go too deep, as I always do. I'm just going to say that this is your pineal gland and it's your third eye. And I got this concept that like you can activate it, right? Because it is your intuitive button. It's like your button that controls what you see without your eyes. Okay. And so I started to activate it. And when I said, I have seen a lot of Blue Jays. So some of you may or may not know, Trish and I like Blue Jays and Cardinals. And I have been abundantly surrounded by Blue Jays. However, it has been months and months and months and months since I've seen a Cardinal. And I really love the bird and I wanted to see him. So I activated my pineal gland. I said, I'm going to do this without pressure, but with full, complete trust that I'm going to see a Cardinal. I did not set a time limitation to it. I just said specifically how I wanted to see it. So I looked in my backyard. I had a table out with some puddled water on the table. And I was like, I want this bird to come to my backyard. He could even get something to drink from the table. I saw it and I pictured like vacillating atmosphere opening like a portal and this bird coming from nowhere and flying into my dimension to make himself present for me or herself present for me. That day went by. I watched, didn't see a bird that was red come to my backyard. I was at Barnes & Noble later, a chore and an errand that I had put off for about 5 or 6 days because I had to get a book for my daughter. And on the day that I choose to go to Barnes & Noble, they're putting out all these Christmas tote bags. They're all the same, and they're all a wreath with a cardinal on it. That's the evidence. I get super excited and lit up, and I was like, all right, thanks. That's awesome. But I want a real one. And I was bravely impressed. You know, normally I'm like, oh, should I take that as a... I was like, no, this is fantastic, and I love it. It's not enough. I want a real bird. Well, last night I had a bunch of kids over and they were playing in the pool. My daughter and my son know this story because I share with them. And I hear screaming. They're all in the pool. And I hear like, Mom! I think someone's fallen. I run out. They're like, there's a red bird! And lo and behold, right in my backyard on the line are 2 cardinals. I can't tell you the last time I saw one. They came to my backyard and something shifted inside of me. And I was willing to accept the depth of my power and my co-creation. And it's a feeling that you can't even put into words. You have to experience it to understand.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you called me so excited. You like FaceTimed me yesterday. You were like, are you there?
I tried so hard to show you the bird, but you know, after a few moments of staring at it, they left. But it felt like a miracle. It felt like there's just, you know, this power of, wow, everything in my vortex is of my doing. And that's nothing to shrink to.
That is,
but it required the release of resistance, because when I am tight, I'm such a competitive person. You know, when I think like I'm going to be the one to see it in 48 hours. And I don't know, there was such a smoothness to my request. There was trust and confidence and there was complete release that it would happen. And it made a big difference in my results.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that we really wanted to drive home for everybody today is we are, you know, and if you listen to Abraham Hicks, and, you know, probably most of you know, I listen quite a lot.
Thanks, Mary.
Thanks, Mary. Is that we literally pinch ourselves off from source, like, you know, and she uses the analogy of a water hose, right? And we're like standing on the hose, and the hose is just flowing water. and we're like pinching off, the light and the source, and all the things that we have access to. We're like stepping on it and going, why isn't any water coming out? Like this hose isn't working. It's like, no, the hose is working, honey. You're standing on it. And but and we're standing on it with our resistance, with the pressure we put on ourselves, with the expectations that we have. And, that resistance comes from any number of things. It comes from, deep wounds, internal wounds from when we were children, generational wounds. It comes from habits. It comes from limiting beliefs that have been, that we've come up with or that have been implanted in us by our friends, our family, and our generations of thought. And none of that is bad. And this is why it's so important for us to talk about, light and dark. Those dark moments in our lives are there to serve us and help us sort of embrace. We need to embrace the darkness in order to let the light in. It's really... and it's important to accept the resistance as part of the process. And that's something that I always talk about, and I want to mention it again here, is that, we kill ourselves thinking but why am I resistant? Is it a limiting belief? Is it because I'm afraid? Is it because I'm, not wired that way? And we come up with a million excuses as to why we are resistant. But the truth is it doesn't matter. You are resistant. So the only thing that you need to focus on is, how can I create a situation where I feel less resistance? It's almost like going into it through the back door, where it's like, well, it's not that important anymore. Or, and releasing, and that's why this is resistance and release, releasing the pressure, releasing the expectation, releasing the meaning of what all of this means, right? So when we released the experiments, when we were done with the experiments, and this happened for both Linda and I, and Linda used the example of the purple cars, and we've heard from many people, it's like, wow, now I'm seeing all the things that I wanted to see. And it's like, yes, because now it doesn't matter, right? But it's really tough for us to do that with real life things. Like, how do you get yourself into a position where you don't care whether or not you make money? It's like, you need to make money.
You're attached to the outcome of it, because it will change. Me seeing a cardinal or not won't change anything. But for me, it did change something, because I was trying to prove my power to me. I was trying to prove that my inner being could control my ego. I was trying to prove that my light was as powerful as my dark. There are things that and when I got in a position where I kind of owned it, it's that feeling we all know when you sink in and you're like, oh, I'm getting it. All that is source power. If it's just coming through you and saying, all right, now we're cooking with fire, this girl means business. All right, I'll give you a red bird. You've been, it's like anything. When someone asks you for something and they're wishy-washy, they don't always get what they want. I teach my kids that all the time. But when you have an affirmation, when you say, I'm going to get this, I want this. And it may not be today. If you believe in divine timing, which I am getting better at, and you say, okay, it comes when it comes, but I know that it will come.
Yes. And see, you just, put it there so beautifully. And it is about divine timing and trust, right? And that's the importance of releasing. It's not like I'm going to release it like I don't care. I'm going to release it because I trust that when the timing is right, this is going to show up in my life. It's not like, I don't care whether or not I get this. It's just like, okay, I'm going to release this. And I know without a shadow of a doubt, it's coming my way. And it will show up. But what you also demonstrated with the cardinal was the concept of going through the back door. And again, Abraham Hicks talks about this all the time. If the thing you want most is causing you resistance, then practice with something that you don't want as much. That's how what you did with the cardinal was a perfect example. Because if you did that with $1 million, not that you couldn't get $1 million, but it's like, you're going to have a lot of resistance when it comes to $1 million showing up, right?
But it's like when you want to have big muscles, you don't start with 200-pound weights because you want big muscles. You start light. And you know that if you continue to lift the light weights, then eventually you'll build yourself up. This is no different. If I can manifest a bird, I will grow my power of manifestation, and who knows what's next. No, I shouldn't start with $1 million because I believe in my case, because I have, such issues around money that's kind of a self-defeating process. But if I start and prove the strength building, wow, I'm building my power, I'm building my magic, I'm building my ability to manifest. Then each time I can increase the worth or the value of what I call in. And it is a magical wand, because it's like abracadabra, And I want to just add that in the meditation Trish and I have been talking about that I've been doing, after she guides you through this visualization technique of kind of picturing your intentions, your desires, she said something that was super powerful, and I've been festering over it. But she said at the end, when we visualized our desires and what we wanted, she said, okay, now 90% of you is already there. So enjoy where you are, enjoy this 10% that's left, because very soon the 10% is going to join up and be somewhere totally different. So just enjoy this ride, matching it up, knowing that more than half of you is already living that reality. And I thought that was super powerful.
Well, yes, it is. And it like all of this sort of falls in line with getting your vibration right for the things that you want, right? Yeah. Like part of, like, if you have a big event coming up, like when we had our TV show taping, it was so much fun to plan for it, and like our show, it's launching, November 28th. But it's not like we're waiting for the show in order to get excited. We've been excited every step of the way. Every time we get together to talk about it, every time we film stuff, every time that we, edit, every part of the process of this show has been exciting. Yep. It's not just like, well, this sucks until the show is done.
Exactly.
But that's what we're doing with our dreams. We're like, well, I guess I don't have the money, so this sucks. It's like, no, let's come up with beautiful, fun ways to make the money. If that's the thing that you're most passionate about, it's like, my God, I would love to manifest the lifestyle that I can just stop worrying. So let's find what's exciting. What can you come up with so that you enjoy every minute of that creation? Because when you are enjoying every minute of that creation, then the creation shows up because it's the most logical step.
It's the only step. Right. And the thing is, your brain, which doesn't know the difference between an imagined image and a real one. It's the same. So whether you are living it or thinking of it, if your emotions and vibration feel it, that's how your body says, oh, this is what's happening. The universe says, oh, this is her reality. It can't discern the difference between real or fake. So even if you don't have it yet, exactly what you said, get excited, live as if. What would it be like to have it? And allow that feeling to consume you until it is real and you never knew the difference.
Well, I really like how you put it. And as something came to me, as you said, live as if, because I think that's something people really have a hard time. Like, how do you live as if you have a ton of money when you don't have a ton of money? Right?
I so agree. Yeah.
Okay. So that's a legitimate thought, right? How do you live as if you really, if your present circumstances don't show you that you have it? It's really tough for some people.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. If you can't live as if, because I have I have a hard time living as if too, but instead make choices in your life where you know that every step you're taking is a step in the direction of what you want. And if you can get excited about the calls I'm making today is bringing me one step closer to that million. The people that I'm going to meet today is going to bring me one step closer to, building my business and having, all that financial freedom. The thing I'm doing today is, right? So this way you can inspire yourself, even if it's like the laundry I'm doing today is going to make me feel like super productive. And that's going to fuel me for those emails I need to send later to my clients or to my potential clients. So when you are existing in your present circumstances, you need to create that excitement that everything you're doing is leading you towards your dreams. Just like, if you are, the day you're getting married, right? You're not getting married, let's say till 4:00, right? But you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to do my hair and I'm going to put on this dress and I'm going to clink champagne with my friends. And like every step on a day like that, and I picked wedding because it's a big, it's like every step that you take on your wedding day becomes like a really exciting moment because you're moving towards that, thing. But it's, then when it happens, and let me tell you, then when it happens, it's like, oh, that was beautiful. And then it's over, right? What's really exciting is the planning that leads up to it.
Yeah.
And that's what life is. It's the life and getting what you want is bringing you closer. And that's what you need to find the excitement in, because if you can create that excitement in your current life, in every decision, if you can create that, like, this is moving me closer. This is moving me closer. I don't like this person that I have to call right now, but talking to that person is bringing me one step closer. And you can get excited about that. Then that is the secret to manifesting everything you want.
And then here's what's so cool about that. So you have this, you create, you do exactly what you say, you get excited, you move one step closer, and every movement brings you there. And then here's where I thrive. The thriving for me comes in that now it becomes, hi, I love you. It becomes,
I love you.
It becomes your daily treasure hunt. Life becomes a treasure hunt.
Oh, I like that.
Right? So it's like, I 100% set this beautiful intention. I know what's coming. And every day I'm going to look around me and I'm going to make this my own little personal treasure hunt and look for the clues and the signs that I am in the right direction and that keep going. That cardinal was that for me. It was like, yes, you want to prove you're powerful? You're powerful. You want the bird? Here's the bird. Now do you believe you're powerful? And so now today I woke up and I was super excited to call something else in. And so now my day is going to consist of a little treasure hunt. Like, I wonder where I'll find, and then you fill in the blanks and you look for it because it's all there. It's there. It exists already.
Yes. I love the idea of the treasure hunt. I love that it's sort of kind of coming up for you. And I'm definitely like that too. Like, it's the evidence. You're building the evidence.
Yeah.
And that's the important thing too. And, if you need to write it down, then write it down. But if you're not one of those people, then I think you should write it down, that when you get something that you asked for, have a little journal and make a note of it. Because on those days that you feel you're not getting what you want, go back to that journal and remind yourself that you were able to manifest whatever is on your list. And keep in mind the final goal, right? Sometimes there's twists and turns and you're just kind of like, oh, okay, road is closed here. All right, so then I got to take a detour. And maybe the detour has something fun and exciting for me. And if you approach life with that as your perspective, then you can't lose because you're always in an adventure. And that's the thing that soul seeking is about for us, is really approaching life as an adventure, all of life. Like, where is this going to take me now? With that curiosity and that excitement. When you take kids on a trip and you say, guys, we're going somewhere, but you don't tell them where, they're like, oh, where are we going? Where are we going? That's the thing. Or maybe they know where you're going. Like, last year for one of the holiday weeks, we drove to Florida and went to go visit Linda. And the kids were super excited to go to Florida. But guess what? Before we got to Florida, we had surprises for them along the way, and they didn't know what those surprises were. So they were like, I love this road trip, because we'd stop one place and we'd get some cool stuff, and then we'd stop another place and we did another cool thing. And then we met Linda halfway in Atlanta, and they didn't expect it. And they were like, oh my God, because they saw your kids. And life is just waiting to give you these little surprises. But all you can see is, oh, I'm not in Florida yet. I'm not in Florida yet. And you're like, what? Enjoy the ride along the way. There's some really cool stuff in Virginia. And the Washington Monument was very exciting to see. And, hanging out on the Atlanta Boardwalk was amazing.
And I think that's what E Squared is. I honestly think that he sends us on a treasure hunt for evidence.
Yes.
The power of thoughts. How else do I prove it to you than to put these little things that you have to seek and find and seek and find.
Yes.
And we hope that whether or not you're getting the results at the day, within the 48 hours, we just hope that your awareness is opening up. We hope that you are seeing and manifesting all your biggest dreams and desires. We hope that you're soul seeking, because your soul is just as important as your mind and body. We hope that this Halloween is epic, as all Halloween should be, and that you start tomorrow, on your little treasure hunt and seek magic, because you will find it.
Yes. Oh, I love that. On that note, we're going to wrap it up and remind you once again to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Soul Seekers TV.
To subscribe!
Because we are launching our show on Thanksgiving, November 28th, and we hope that you have subscribed and that you send your friends a little video and let them subscribe, because that would be awesome. And we have our next principal announcement, the Principal 7, I think.
For Monday, November 4th.
We're like a week away from my birthday. Okay. So we'll see you next Monday. And just keep soul seeking. We love you.
We love you. Bye.